Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Hey now. Well. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio. For the masses. Today is Monday. It's Monday, May 23rd. 144 days into the new year. 220 days left. What is cracking, everybody? We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I'd like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I'm your so humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Yeah, it's Monday. Yeah, what a week we have got going around here. Man, oh man, because tonight we're kicking it off with clinical hypnotherapist and abduction researcher, Lori McDonald. She's right here. Tomorrow night, Lisa Garr is with us. Yeah, the Lisa Garr. And then Wednesday, Melinda Leslie is here. Crazy week. And then, as if that wasn't great enough for all of you spoiled, rotten, you know what I'm talking about. Thursday night, very special presentation with Giorgio Tsoukalos. Giorgio is going to be here. Going to be talking Ancient Aliens, his trip out to Joshua Tree that he's going to be doing next week, all along with the rest of us, including our guest tonight, Lori McDonald. All right. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube. You know what to do. All right. Go and do it. You're over at the website right now. Start clicking. Just follow, like, and subscribe. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Any questions or comments? You want to follow us in Twitter, hashtag F2B is the sandbox, and hashtag F2BQ is set up for questions. Everything is live to my left. All right. Somebody actually tweeted during Coast to Coast this weekend. I did Coast on Saturday. Great show, by the way. I hope all of you check that out. But anyways, dude, why do you keep saying Twitter is live to your left? And I'm just thinking to myself, that's somebody that's never used Twitter, right there. And that is somebody that is tweeting me on Twitter for the first time, right there. I've never gotten that tweet before. Of all the things, why do you keep saying? Because if you're on Twitter, you want to know. You want to know. This stuff runs in real time. And if I say follow me on Twitter, it's because I am watching Twitter live during the show. And you can communicate with me. And it's to my left. And I'm looking at it. Brah. You don't have to be rude. Why do you keep saying it's live to your left? It's because it's Twitter. That's why. Jeez. Man. We get the same comments, too. It's really weird. I'm going to talk about me for a second. You know what's really weird is I see these posts on YouTube, and they're like, dude, man, what, why? Look, man, if you are listening to this on YouTube, you're listening to a recording of a live broadcast. It's not a podcast. It's two different things. All right? So you're listening to a live broadcast. That's what it is. Commercials are included. Everything's included. Mistakes are included. It's a live broadcast. Man, geez, it's just frustrating. And it's funny. The thing is it's funny because you're just wondering who is listening. They go and they listen to the intro, they listen to the show, they listen to Game Changer Network and KGRA and syndication, and they listen to all of that. What do they think they're listening to? I don't get it. And then they're compelled to just make a comment like that. It's bizarre. It's bizarro world. So I'm saying this now in hopes that in the future, because right now we're in the John Teeter now, right? We're in the now. Not then, we're in the now. But in the future, somebody's going to be listening to this, and hopefully it'll get through. It'll get through. They'll get plugged in and go, oh, I get it. It's a recording. Oh, it's new technology. You can record stuff and listen to it later. I get it. It's a live broadcast that was live on the... Oh, I can calm down now. Yes, you can. All right. This is Fade to Black. Check out all of our sponsors today. Life Change Tea, by the way. I did it 3 times. I did it right before the broadcast again. I'm gonna give a little shout out to Ziggy. And so Ziggy hits me today. Dude, man, I'm doing the Life Change Tea. And I hit him back. We were live texting, and I said, man, I just did the colostrum. The delivery, the vanilla. And then, I chugged it, and I told him I pounded a glass, and I just did another one. So that's 3 glasses I did today. Man, I just feel electrified. The Colostrum LD powder in vanilla is where you need to go. My goodness gracious. Had a great weekend. Oh, just go to getthetea.com at Jimmy Church Radio. Click on it. Use the promo code Jimmy. Go to the specials page. One of the great companies in the world, getthetea.com. Promo code Jimmy. Get you free shipping on everything. Special page has got all the deals. Go and do it. Make your life complete. And also, it was really cool. I think it was Barrett. Tweeted out, I'm listening to Coast to Coast tonight on my Studio Dome SBB2s. Thank you for that, Barrett. I hope it sounded good. SBB2s stereo system, TWS True Wireless Stereo. Get your package right now. It all comes in a hard shell case. Promo code JCRTWS, 2 SBB2 speakers, power cables, everything you need. Take it around. Stereo system for you on the beach, the back patio, the front patio, whatever room in the house, whatever you want to do. It's a complete system right now. $129. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com. Over the weekend, we did a bunch of things. We got together with the family twice. We had 2 get-togethers over the weekend, and nothing like barbecue and hanging out with the family. So we did that. And then last night we went to Flappers Comedy Club and hung out with everybody over there, and it was a really good time. So everybody over at Armenian Nights over at Flappers, thank you so much for everything last night. You guys are family, and it was a really, really great show. We're going to get some pictures out of everything that we've done. Now, Contact in the Desert is next week. Tonight, Lori McDonald is going to be, she's one of the MCs out there, and she's going to be hanging out, Contact in the Desert, and it kicks off next Friday, June 3rd, and we head out of town. Cannot believe it. We're actually here. And so next week, yes, Graham Hancock, who was just on Coast with me Saturday, Robert Buvall and Giorgio, he's going to be on with us this Thursday. Will Cox going to be there, Eric Von Daniken, George Norrie, and his birthday bash. Jim Mars, David Hatcher Childress, Danny Sheehan, Linda Moulton Howe, Mike Barra, Laura Eisenhower. This is coming off of my brain and not a list in front of me. Steve Murillo. It's just an amazing list of speakers and events that are going on. We're broadcasting live next Friday. All right. Not this Friday, next Friday. Not now, next Friday in the future. The Roswell Festival right after that, June 30th through July 3rd, Roswell, New Mexico. And again, the Awareness Life Expo at the Crown Plaza Hotel up in Sacramento. That's Lori's hometown. She's going to be there, of course. Victor Camacho, Patty Greer, Holly Cook, Len Kasten. I can't wait, man. Len Kasten. Can't hear what he has to say. And so there you go. And all of the events are over at jimmychurchradio.com. There's an appearances section. All the links are there. Go do what you got to do. Okay, let's get the show cracking. Today, Drew Carey is 58 years old. Jewel is 42. Was Jewel the singer with the acoustic guitar that had that snaggle tooth? You know, that crooked, this tooth right here, the one I'm tapping on. That one was kind of, crooked, snaggletooth. Was that Jewel? Somebody help me out. I'm gonna defer to Twitter and just let me know. Okay, over the weekend, Nick Menza passed away. And Nick was playing, man, this is just such bad news. I was, bummed out all weekend about this. He was playing over at the Baked Potato, which is a legendary jazz club here in town. Once in a while, they do the rock stuff. And he was playing with his band Ohm at the Baked Potato and collapsed and died in front of everybody there. He was into playing his third song with his new band, and he collapsed, and paramedics could not revive him. And he passed away. As everybody knows, Nick was on Fade to Black. About a year ago, he had filmed a UFO, an object over his house in Studio City, which went viral, by the way. And it was a very, very interesting video. Anyway, Nick was on with us last year, and I spoke to him a lot, 3 or 4 times probably, about the videotape, and his son was there, and he was very humbled by the experience, and just an incredible drummer that the world of music looked up to quite a bit. He was a very unique individual. He was a very cool guy. He was 51 years old, and a very close friend of mine, Dave Casey. Dave, if you're listening, what's up? Another drummer. And he was there. Now, the Baked Potato is very small. And I'm going to say packed 100 people, maybe. It's very intimate, very cool, exclusive club. When I say exclusive, I mean you get tickets to the Baked Potato, everybody's in the front row. And they only have the very best of the best play there. Anyway. Dave Casey was there, and he said he was just 15 feet away. Everybody in the club is 15 feet away, is what I'm saying. And it just changed him. And I just can't believe it. Anyway, rest in peace, Nick Menza, and you're in a better place. And, if you're going to go out and you're a drummer and you're going to go out like that, that's how you want to do it. You want to go out doing what you love. And there you go. All right. Nick Menza. On this day in history, 1934, notorious criminals Bonnie and Clyde are shot to death by the Texas and Louisiana State Police while driving a stolen car in Louisiana. Fate or fact, 50% of the world is under the age of 30. 50%. Tonight, Lori McDonald is with us. Tomorrow night, Lisa Garr is here. Wednesday night, Melinda Leslie. Thursday night, a very special show with Giorgio Tsoukalos. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Now, I want to talk about something. I want everybody to get an edumacation going on. You're going to get the your little degree of Jimmy Church's high school of the unexplained. And tonight we're going to discuss special access programs, SAPs. It's a very, very interesting part of the government and three-letter agencies that you do not know anything about. So just listen, write this down. SAP, capitals, all capital letters, 3, SAP, special access programs, because they are the part of the federal government of the United States that are the security protocols that provide highly classified information with safeguards and access restrictions that exceed those of regular top secret classified information. Now, when somebody says to you, okay, well, it's top secret, this is stamped top secret. Well, you know what? Anybody can access top secret. When it goes to the level of SAP, special access programs, now we're at a level of crazy. It may be a type of black project. In addition to those collateral controls, an SAP may impose more stringent investigative or adjunctive requirements. Now listen, specialized non-disclosure agreements, special terminology or markings, exclusion from standard contract investigations, which are called carve-outs, and centralized billet systems. An SAP, once something is at that level, now you're at a compartmentalized situation, and this is official stuff that I'm laying out there. That it is on such a need to know that you could have thousands of people with different security clearances, and once SAP is applied to that, now it's a very narrow window of who has access to it. Almost nobody knows that this exists. And if they do know that it exists, it's only a special part of it that they have access to. They don't know everything else that is in the program. 2 types of SAPs exist: acknowledged and unacknowledged. The existence of an acknowledged special access program may be publicly disclosed, but the details inside of that envelope remain classified. The entire program, nobody knows about. They'll tell you it exists, and the title of its existence adds to its creepiness, and I'll get to that in a second. Now, the real trippy one is the unacknowledged SAP, or the USAP, which is made known only to authorized persons. The very existence of the program, including members of the appropriate committees of the United States Congress. Waived SAPs are a subset of unacknowledged SAPs in the Department of Defense. These SAPs are exempt by authority of the Secretary of Defense from most reporting requirements, and within the legislative branch, only persons who are required to be informed of the said SAPs are the chairpersons and ranking committee members of the Senate Appropriations Committee, the Senate Armed Services Committee, the House Appropriations Committee, and the House Armed Services Committee. Oftentimes, with any of this, notification is only oral, spoken. Nothing is written. Now, if that doesn't creep you out enough, did I mention the executive branch here? Nope. Did I mention the president here? Nope. And it's oral only. So unless, this is what's crazy, unless you're part of the, you're a committee member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, right? Some ranking chairperson that is sitting with the president, and you can speak this to him, probably he doesn't know, or he doesn't have a need to know. Is that creepy? It just makes you wonder what gets shuffled around. And the budgets that are applied, nobody knows. Nobody has to know. The USAP is something that Stephen Greer has spoken about a lot. And I heard him, and I actually spoke to him about this a couple of weeks ago, but I heard him in two presentations specifically referred to USAPs. And unless you are laser focused on what Greer is saying and you're writing things down and you're taking notes and you're remembering and going and following up on this later, it's just part of his presentation. But then when you dive a little bit deeper and start to look at what it is and that it actually exists, the creepiness comes into play. There are 3 categories of SAPs within the Department of Defense. Acquisition SAPs, or AQ SAPs, which protect the research, development, testing, modification, and evaluation or procurement of new systems. Intelligence SAPs, IN SAPs, which protect the planning and execution of especially sensitive intelligence or CI units or operations. Operations and Support SAPs, OS SAPs, which protect the planning, execution, and support of sensitive military activities. Only, and this is key, only the Director of National Intelligence may create IN SAPs. Sensitive Compartmented Information, SCIs, control systems may be the most well-known of the SAPs. The treatment of SCI is singular among SAPs, and it seems that there is some disagreement even within the government as to whether or not SCI is SAP. Defense Department sources usually state that it is, and at least one publication refers to a separate SCI SAP category alongside the 3 listed above. Now, listen, the intelligence community drawing on the DNI statutory responsibility to protect intelligence sources and methods finds a legal basis for SCI separate from that of SAPs and consequently consider SCI and SAPs separate instances of the more generally controlled access program. Now, this is reality. This is what goes on. I am a firm believer. I'm an American. I know that there are covert and black programs that need to stay secret. They have to. Security of the United States. I get that. But when we really look at this and look at it hard, it's that there is no responsibility. There's no oversight. And it seems that the way that it is laid out here, and I've got more, that there is no oversight and nobody knows. And once it falls into an SCI SAP or an IN SAP, then anybody that is around it doesn't know either. They only know a little bit as a need-to-know basis. And when you jump to the fact that some of these SAPs and the labeling of it, NSCIs, are on an oral need-to-know basis, holy crap. And now the paper trail and everything else, this is dark. The way that these are stamped and the way that these are labeled, it's all code words. So when you're dealing with a special access required label on something, and it says that, special access required, that's it. Now you have code words underneath, so you don't actually know what these are dealing with. I looked at a bunch of examples of the real deal. Secret, special access required, median bell. Okay? And then the portions inside of that, or anything that is distributed, it would have an S, 2 forward slashes, SAR-MB. That's it. That's all anybody can see. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Forget about MJ12, Majestic. That's not what I'm talking about. You just wouldn't know what is it on the inside. And once it goes to the compartment level of stuff, then you will have a label on the top of the document that says SAR, median bell, -MB /SC -RF 1532 -RG A8 or 691 D722. And unless you know, and unless you've been told and assigned these numbers and names and code names, you know nothing. And this is how it's budgeted. This is how it's paid for. This is a black project. And there you go. Off and running. It's absolutely frightening. You can go, if you jump around, there are different spots on the net, not only military websites, gov websites, and so forth. If you do it right and you search for this, you can find information on how this is applied and who has access to it. But in the basic sense on what follows through on an SCI or a USAP or an SAP, it's very limited. You have the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Energy, Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, in some cases, Director of National Intelligence, of course, right? And their principal deputies, anybody that follows underneath directly, the Deputy Secretary of State, Deputy Secretary of Defense, and so forth. Others, and it's limited, some deal directly with the president. The rest of it, pretty much the Director of National Intelligence and the NSA. And that's it. And that is an SAP. USAP. SCISAP. Go out and have some fun. It is interesting. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Lori McDonald is with us. She's in the batter's box. I'm going to take this short break. Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Great week ahead. Tomorrow night, Lisa Garr. Wednesday night, Melinda Leslie. Thursday night, Giorgio Tsoukalos. Open lines. That's right. It's Fade to Black on KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And then use the hashtag F2B. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Health in America is becoming a top priority. Or maybe I should say, good health in the world is becoming a top priority. Maintaining a healthy body can be challenging. How about letting Life Change Tea help you? Our tea you make, you drink, and you benefit. Our unique blend of 8 different herbs helps you maintain good digestion, a healthy colon, and detoxes harmful toxins and parasites out of your body. And you know what? It tastes great. If you're wanting a change, a life change when it comes to health, log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. When you log on to our mobile-friendly website, you can read all the numerous testimonies of how Life Change Tea has helped so many people. We carry many, many beneficial products that help your health and keep you on track. GetTheTea.com. Kind of gets in your head, doesn't it? GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, we have a very special guest. Lori McDonald is here. Tomorrow night, Lisa Garr is going to be here. Great co-host over at Coast to Coast AM along with myself. And, of course, she has her show that she does also over at KFPK here in Los Angeles. And then Wednesday night, Melinda Leslie is here. Going to be talking about night vision and a little MyLab thrown in, I'm sure. Thursday night, very special presentation with Giorgio Tsoukalos. But tonight, it's all about Lori. Lori McDonald is a clinical hypnotherapist and abduction researcher. She's one of 27 regression therapists listed on the MUFON mental health referral list for abduction regression and is a consultant to the Research Committee for Free, the Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. She is on the board of directors for the organization OPUS, the Organization for Paranormal Understanding and Support, and is the founder of the Sacramento Alien Abduction and Contactee Support Group, one of California's largest UFO and abduction groups. Lori has been the facilitator of a number of experiencer events and is a lifelong experiencer herself. We're going to go into that in detail tonight. Her company, True You Hypnotherapy, has been the winner of Sacramento's Best of Hypnotherapists 3 years running by promoting mind-body integration through one-on-one sessions, empowerment workshops, experiencer group events, and spiritual retreats. She is in the completion stage of her first book entitled The Alien Interference. Her website is trueyouhypnotherapy.com, and I would like to welcome to the first, this is the first time, Lori, I can't believe it, our good friend Lori McDonald. Lori, welcome to Fade to Black.
Thank you very much for having me, Jimmy.
It's great to hear your voice, and welcome to the program. And this is the thing, Lori, you get the first-time guest disclaimer tonight. Now, the next time you're on the show, you're not going to get it, so don't be bummed out. But tonight,
Okay,
tonight you get it, which is, this is just you and I sitting on my couch, not yours, having a conversation as friends. We're going to start where we start. We're going to end where we end, but we're going to end as friends. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Yeah, let's do this. So, I kind of want to start here. We just hung out up in San Francisco, San Mateo at the New Living Expo, and walking around an expo like that, which you go there all the time, but the vibe that is there, the attendees and the speakers, the consciousness movement that has been going on for the last 40 years, since let's go with the early 70s, is alive and well, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. All roads lead to consciousness, no matter where you start. That's the inevitable end.
Why is it that you can't find negativity at events like that? In other words, it's, check your attitude at the door, and you get there and everybody is just on the same page and they get it, don't they?
Absolutely. It's a movement in a sense. Actually, we're at a monumental time in history. We're going through great changes, and one of the things that we're all striving for is this ascension, or this raising of our consciousness, that we can do it individually as well as collectively. So when we have events like this, we get a multitude of speakers all basically saying the same message, but they resonate differently with each person, and so each person needs to hear a different speaker. It all works out. Everybody gets what they need. They all move together. It's an amazing thing to be a part of.
One of the things that I'm fascinated with, Lori, and you experience the same thing that I do, and it's this. The amount of people that come up to me at conferences and say, you know what, I'm an experiencer. I'm a contactee. Right? It's in the hundreds, if not the thousands. And then if I just sat on this show and just took phone calls and just read email from contactees and experiencers, I could do that forever. I would take thousands of phone calls over a coast to coast. I could just sit there all night long and take phone calls to contactees and witnesses and abductees and experiencers. And the numbers are huge. Huge. It's in the millions. It has to be.
It is in the millions. It's been reported by some statistics that on a 4% value of the Earth population, we're looking at approximately 280 million people have either had an abduction experience, contact experience, or have some type of a sighting that's a UFO to the best of their knowledge. So those are huge numbers. And I run a big group and I work with some people from MUFON, and I notice among my own experiencers groups that not everybody has reported theirs. So the number actually has to be much larger than that.
And it's an interesting thing where when I hear from skeptics or debunkers, right, or some stupid website called UFOdebunking.com, whatever, I made that up, but it probably exists.
Probably.
Don't mean to offend all of those other websites with a similar name. Is the 250 million number cannot be wrong. They are experiencing something. They are seeing something. They are touching something. And we need to stop and take a serious look at this. We cannot sit here and go, you know what, you guys are all nuts. And it's not right. And I just feel, because I've had my own experience too as well. And we can discuss that. But when I know what happened to me and I listen to everybody else, there is something going on, isn't there?
Well, there's certainly something going on, and it's not just, what we see in the sky. It's what's happening face-to-face contact with extraterrestrials. We have things such as telepathic communication, or people who believe that they receive downloads, information just streaming into their consciousness, almost as if their consciousness has been hijacked because there's no way for them to stop the information from coming. So there's all different types of anomalous behavior happening, and much of it is associated with the extraterrestrials. Now, I'm not sure how familiar you are with my personal story, but I'm going to just tell you briefly that.
Well, okay, that's a good segue, and I'm going to lead it. How's that? How about I ask the questions?
Awesome.
What I mean is, I do want to get into that. And we will. There's just one more setup that I want to do. How do you see things changing? In other words, we had the contactees from the 1950s, right? The whole Adamski clan and what was going on there. And then Betty and Barney Hill happened. And, and then we kind of moved through the 70s and Travis Walton. But here today, it's a different type of experiencer and contactee. How has it changed over the years?
Well, we do see less of the abductions done by what would have been considered the gray aliens, or the short grays to be more precise, or even the Zetas. We see that they were also involved in some of the abduction phenomena. What's happening now is more of a information exchange. We see that contactees are more integrated in their extraterrestrial experience, where they're accepting it into their core belief system, and it profoundly changes how they behave in the world. But what's important to note here is that there are great geographic and cultural influences on abductor descriptions. So depending on where the abductee is, whether it be North America, Australia, or South America, how it's relayed is to the researcher is going to vary much on their culture, their religious beliefs, and the folklore or myth of their particular region. So it makes it increasingly difficult for researchers to be able to get a precise view of who's contacting, especially since we are to understand that many of them have the ability to, using perhaps scalar technology, dematerialize so that they can move through what would appear to be a physical wall or window. So in fact, they can defy physics as we know it. So is that too difficult to comprehend? Not really, because it's just a matter of perception of time and speed or frequency or vibration is what's going to create the illusion of a solid structure. And so they can manipulate that. That being said, when they physically manifest in the presence of an experiencer, they could resonate with that experiencer subconscious. So if they're very religious, they may look angelic or Nordic, or maybe a beautiful energy being. If the person's beliefs of the supernatural fall into the category of more creature, then perhaps they're going to see something that looks like a Chupacabra or some type of a Zeti or Bigfoot, or there's so many different names for those particular creatures. So then we have to sort of extrapolate all of their influence and really get to the core of their experience. And it's difficult, but we're trying.
Yeah, that is so interesting, because and we're going to talk about your experience now. With mine, I didn't know what was happening, right? Now, this is what I thought. I went with burglar, intruder into my home. That's where I went first. As much as I have studied and known about abductions and ufology and so forth, I didn't jump there first. But if I was somebody that was religious, maybe I would have gone in that direction. You know, if I owned a farm and I was experiencing my cattle missing, maybe I would jump on the Chupacabra side of things. That's a very interesting way to look at it, because I went with somebody's about to get their ass kicked. You know, that's where I was.
Well,
I thought I had an intruder in my house.
Well, and the reason that you went with that one, I'm going to just assume here for a moment, is because in your own subconscious mind, although you had book knowledge and information about such experiences, you had no actual experience like that had the emotional charge. So when you have that experience and it's outside of your core belief system, beyond your normal daily reality, the body and mind experience a shock to the system. In fact, you just don't know what to think. So what comes is plan B. So for you, it was an intruder.
Right.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, it was for me too as well. And the interdimensional aspect, or the possibility of passing through walls, well, that's exactly what happened with my situation. And so when I listened to somebody else describe the same thing, was like, okay, give me more information, because I'm listening to you right now. I'm not shutting anybody down, because when it came down to the confrontation part of it and I spun around, the little guy was gone. And I went over and I'm looking at the sliding glass door and I didn't see anything move. And I'm like, what, so somehow he got in the house and he got back out. And that's and I witnessed it, man. It was a trippy thing for me to go through. Now, back to your point earlier about who talks about this and who admits it. When we look at this 280 million number, right?
Right.
For me, I didn't tell anybody for 10 years. I didn't tell anybody. That was my little, I slept with the lights on. Right.
Sure.
I kept
Very
the
common.
TV, right. Kept the TV on. But as far as me telling my best friends, hey, man, I got to tell you what happened last night here at the house. I did not do it. I didn't do it for 10 years, maybe even a little longer. So
not uncommon.
No. And I totally get that. And when somebody says to me, Lori, or when somebody says to you, this happened to me 15 years ago, but I never told anybody. How common is that?
Well, extraordinarily common. And for my own mother, who, just as a side note, never raised me, I was given up shortly afterwards. She had experienced the actual physical abduction throughout her pregnancy and was subjected to pretty much the classic gray alien experience, such as the harvesting of genetics. And although they continued to abduct her, they did other tests which were on her child that she was carrying at the time. She was really scared by these. It was very uncommon. It was back in the early 60s, 1963 to be precise. And she told the doctors about her extraterrestrial experience, and they really shut her down. She told family and she was shut down. She went back to the doctor and they said, listen, you keep talking about this and you're definitely going to be locked up. We're going to have to put you into the psych ward for an examination. And she was a young mother with other children and scared. So she never said anything. And then one morning, as she was sitting outside in the lounge chair, two extraterrestrials sort of just instantaneously and miraculously appeared on either side of her. And she described a sense of time distortion as they moved her through the apple orchard. And she said when they came to the center where the tractors turned for harvesting, there was a UFO hovering above the tree line. She was instantly on it. She had a very traumatic experience, and they continuously told her that they're to be calm and they weren't going to hurt her and that their interest was only in the baby. Now, any pregnant woman who's going through this type of experience is not going to be calmed by that statement. We're only interested in the baby. That, in fact, created more anxiety, so much so that she wasn't not able to keep me. I was her baby. I did not know any of this until the spring of 2014. And my mother had seen me on a TV show talking about the phenomena and called and explained the story and said, listen, I have held this secret for 50 years. I can't keep quiet anymore. I'm going to tell you everything that happened. I wrote it down and I still have it from back in 1963. And you need to know this. And she said she just was absolutely blown away about the work that I do, the abductees and contactees that I work with, the support group that I offer to aid them through as they move into a place of empowerment and greater understanding and hopefully a consciousness expansion, because that's certainly my goal with the phenomena. And so it seems that all of these years I was offering support. She was sitting in another country still holding her secret. And what a strange set of circumstances that she should see me on some TV show and contact me and tell me her story.
How lucky you were. I mean, that is so unique that she actually wrote it down and hung on to it for all of these years. Did you have access to it? Did you read all of her notes?
Yeah, so I've been able to look at some of them. She was going to, at the time I was going to be the clinical hypnotherapist on the TV show Experiencers, and they would send out an investigative team. And if the experiencer needed a regression, I was their specialist for the show. So I got her in touch with the producer, Jim O'Connell, and said, listen, this is an amazing story. Some of the details that she told me do not come up very often in the abduction phenomena. Some of the ufologists that I've worked with, we keep some of them back because we don't like to leak them to everybody, because then they show up in other people's stories.
That's right.
So we need to have some type of a control factor, certain facts that we keep back. And she did nail some of those and sort of sent a shiver through my spine, even though I had been, in my opinion, psychologically prepared to deal with the phenomena. I've had years in it. It was still slightly shocking to find out that my own mother had experienced this for her entire pregnancy and was so traumatized by it that not only could she not keep me, that she kept the secret, and both of our lives were altered for 50 years. So when the opportunity to allow her to be free, to speak her truth came, I asked Jim if he would have my mom on the show and give her an opportunity to have her voice heard. And he agreed to do so, and they talked all summer long. And when the time came for my mom to go on the show, I got a call from Canada, and they had said that my mom had suffered a major brain aneurysm followed by a stroke and was not speaking, was needing immediate brain surgery. And of course, I flew back to Canada. Very strange reunion after all those years to go from the airport to the hospital, which is what I did, and stayed there for weeks to help her get through it. And she's still working on her speech therapy. And in fact, in August, if her speech therapist and neurosurgeons agree, I'm hoping to bring my mother to Sacramento, California, to the Awareness Life Expo at the Crowne Plaza Hotel. And while I'm speaking, I'd like to give her the opportunity to acknowledge her story and speak the words that she's capable of at the time. And I think that it's been a long road, and she's ready. And we're hoping that it works out this time.
Wow. Well, we're going to be there, too, at the expo.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, I'll get to see you, but I'll get to meet your mom.
That's right. You're going to be surprised. She's not... I don't resemble my parents, who are both dark-haired, dark-eyed, small people.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to ask you, that's just an amazing story about your mom. But
yeah.
How do you, when you're dealing with something like that, how do you remain objective with your mom?
Well,
I mean, obviously there's emotions involved, and you have a 50-year gap there too as well, and it's an exciting case, even if it wasn't your mom, but now it is, and now you've got to put your objective hat on. How do you do that?
Well, I did look at it as a case, and since I don't have an emotional connection, and I'm developing one now, although I didn't have an emotional connection with her, and never had really understood why I was not capped, certainly made sense at this point. And so I did remain objective and treated her much like everybody else. And that does entail an enormous amount of compassion and empathy, where I do it from a non-judgmental perspective, allow all experiencers to express their truth so that they can totally free flow without anyone objecting on any level or validating. I don't validate and I don't object. I allow them to continue to speak until they're done. Then we can move it, take it to the next level. And, it was freeing for her just to be able to tell me. Just now, freeing for her to be believed.
Right.
And it really made sense to me as how I ended up where I'm at.
Well, and I'm sure she knows that you grew up to be a very cool young woman, and that's another part of you that is totally real, because when you speak, or when you're hanging, or when I hang out, or anybody else is around you, your feet are on the ground, but your eyes are completely wide open, and that's another part of you that I find really compelling, because you need that. You need to, with what you do, your feet have to be on the ground, you have to be open-minded, and you have to have a BS meter running all at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, not everybody who comes to me with an experience actually had the experience they believed they had. So some of them are disillusioned, some of them are mentally ill, and some of them are psychologically looking for something that they're not going to get from me. So we need to be able to differentiate between the authentic experiencer and the troubled experiencer, so that we can do the work that needs to be done. Now, I think that even the troubled experiencer, the people who are struggling with their own reality, certainly need help.
And so what do you do when we're going to be up against a break here in about 2 minutes, Lori? What do you do when you have an experiencer or a client that has come to you that is concerned, but then you find out that maybe it's not an experience, but that it's something else? How do you handle that? I mean, do you throw them a softball?
I'm very honest with them, and I tell them that, I'm very thorough with my intake interview. I'm asking like 100 questions, and I've done this quite a few times, and I'm straightforward because that serves everybody's best interest. And I tell them I don't feel that you're the right person for this type of therapy. What I would suggest for you, based on my intake interview, is that you speak to either a psychiatrist or a psychologist and allow them to help you through it. And although it's not always taken in the way that it's meant, it does need to be done. And with integrity and ethics, you have to be able to refer them out. I do work with other psychologists, and they will take my referrals.
And now, one last a quick comment before the break. What is it about the Central Valley, Sacramento, the high desert, and contact? Yeah, you giggled. I mean, what is going on up there?
Well, I don't know. That's certainly a hot spot between, Catalina Island out to Joshua Retreat, up to Sacramento, into the Bay Area. There, of course, is a number of military bases. There's some interesting geological effects, and a theory that there may be an underground train between Sacramento and Area 51, because it's a 400-mile straight parallel run, and so something's going on.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt. Our guest tonight is Lori McDonald. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Take a quick break right here. When we come back, we're going to talk about Lori's experiences and how she relates that to what she does now professionally. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. This is Fade to Black. I'll be right back.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie Lee, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of this product.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
To order your 2-month supply, call now toll-free 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Lori McDonald is with us. Tomorrow night, Lisa Garr. Wednesday night, Melinda Leslie. Thursday night, Giorgio Tsoukalos. That's the week here on Fade to Black. Oh, by the way, you need to go over to my Facebook page, Jimmy Church, my personal Facebook page, and look at the post that I've just done of Giorgio Tsoukalos and our friend Joanne Hansen, and her, I think it's her granddaughter, posted a picture of her, and I'm going to say she's 3, 4, 5 months old, maybe. Maybe she's a little older, side by side with Giorgio. Go and look at this picture. It is absolutely unbelievable. My personal Facebook page, Jimmy Church. Go and check it out. It is absolutely, oh man, dare I say cute, but the likeness is beyond words. Go and check it out right now over on Facebook. All right. Lori, have you seen this posting?
I have. It's amazing.
Is that amazing or what? I mean, seriously. And Joanne contacted me earlier today, right? She goes, man, is it okay if you have to see this? I've got to post this. And I'm so glad she did, because that is one of the most incredible side-by-sides I've ever seen, and it's remarkable. Anyway, go check it out right now. It is seriously, it's going viral as we speak, but it's pretty cool. Anyway, okay, so Lori, let's talk about your own experiences, because you must do the same thing that all of us do. When somebody else describes an event in their life to a friend, they will tap into their own experiences. It doesn't matter what it is, riding a motorcycle, fishing, going to the movies, right? That's what we do.
Sure.
And I do it, and so do you. So let's talk about your experience, and then we'll talk about how you apply that to your research.
All right. Well, my experience has actually started very young, maybe even younger than I realized. But my first recollection was around the age of 2. I remember hearing a specific conversation about mind over matter. And I felt that I understood that. I felt that I had an innate knowing of what was being said. Now, a couple of years later, around 4, when I was far more articulate, I had told my grandmother that what I see is sometimes purple people, is what I told her, because they seemed violet in hue. And so that seemed like an energetic or angelic even entity to me. And they were always very kind, gave me a sense of cosmic consciousness, yet I felt very much grounded on her farm. So I also could see specific energies, sometimes around the newborn animals, certainly around somebody who was angry. And then as I became a little bit older and moved into the city, I did have an experience.
Where was this, Lori?
It was in Essex County, Ontario, southern Ontario, outside of Windsor. For your listeners,
Detroit.
I'm going to say it's about 10 miles from Detroit.
Right, Detroit.
On the Canadian side.
Right. Over the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right. So that was my experience. Now, she didn't seem to say yes or no about it, and so I continued. And when I had moved into the city one night, the children who were supposed to be camping in the backyard in the pup tent knew there was a carnival in town. And so we had decided to, stuff the sleeping bags with stuffed animals and sneak out and go to the carnival. And I did do that. And then when I was separated at the carnival, I followed some entities into what felt to me, because I don't know for sure, like an underground facility. And they were about the same height as me, and I was about 6 years old. So when they were standing, 2 of them in front of me, I absolutely was not afraid on any level for some reason. And they had in their hand a little bit larger than a softball, and an orb that was orange. It was like, your typical orange color, maybe a little more golden than bright. And they handed it to me, and all I recall thinking when they put it into my hand was that it was alive, that it generated some type of life. That is what it felt like to me. And when they put it into my hand, it changed colors. And I remember at that point being completely weirded out, because that experience now, that was the one right there.
Wow.
That in my hand, that, I didn't have any reference to. Everything else I was pretty cool with, frankly. But that experience I had no reference to. And I remember becoming a little bit rigid and stiff in my body, and my eyes became wide when it changed in my hand, as if it were magic. And I wanted to give it back. And I remember putting my hands out and them not taking it. And I took a step back, and that's all I remember from that specific memory. So it's always been something at a specific age that I would have.
What happened to it?
I don't recall. I mean, I was trying to give it back. I remember trying to reach forward. When that didn't work, I took like a giant step back and have no recollection after that. Never been regressed myself for that specific event. But now, I said I was about 6 years old, and as my experiences changed, I started to have some missing time. And I remember, like, all of a sudden, being fully lucid in your, beta brainwave conscious, standing in a parking lot, and I was 12. And the last recollection I had was walking up the stairs to my bedroom. So I had started to experience missing time. And it wasn't until I was in my, mid to late 20s that I had come full circle and started to understand and see that there were basically, in my opinion, it was very simple. There were two separate sets of entities that were trying to have contact with me. Always, simultaneously, there would be these beautiful sort of violet colored ones that when they spoke, I did hear them and it did vibrate in me, and it was very high, very rapid, very feminine, and a very fast frequency. And I understood what they were saying because I heard them. The others were completely different energy.
Well, wait. Pump the brakes there, young lady. Stop right there for a second. When you say, I have two questions. One, you just said that you understood because you heard them. Mm-hmm. Well, what was it that they said?
Well, they told me lots of things. One time when I was looking out my bedroom window in Canada.
Are you moving a microphone around?
Might have, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Ixnay on the moving A of the microphone A.
Awesome. I didn't know you were bilingual.
Yeah, okay. So what did they say when you were looking out the window?
I actually had experienced my brother being kind of led down the road by two ETs, first down the driveway, and then I was about to say something out the window, and they told me to step back from the window. I stepped back from the window,
right,
and they told me to be quiet and to not say anything. Almost felt like as if they had thrown some blanket around me or something. And I just remember going back to bed and feeling them still energetically in the room as I laid back down to go to sleep. And what stood out in my mind was that my brother was dressed inappropriately for the weather. Being a Canadian, we're warned from a very early age about freezing to death. And he wasn't dressed right. And that's why I wanted to yell out to him to let him know. But I wasn't allowed to. And I couldn't see the front faces of the extraterrestrials, but I know that the proportions of the body were off. And
why couldn't you see their faces?
They were walking away from me.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, they're walking away from me.
Now,
so,
well, let me jump in. My second question was before and immediately after these missing time experiences, like the event on the stairs, for instance. Mm-hmm. Did anything physically change in your body? Did you feel an electrical charge? Was there a change in your environment? Did you snap out, or anything like that? Was there anything physical about it?
Well, I'm not so sure if it's physical or if it's a mental internal awareness of the difference between a subtle and a gross energy, that you can sense a presence, but I don't know if I physically could react per se. But like I said, I've always had sort of an ability to see some energy and sense things. And so energy fluctuations, when you mentally scan into a room or to an area, pretty easy to feel. So what we're really trying to feel out is whether one's threatened, and then our different instincts begin to take over at that point, whether we're experiencing just anomalous activity or if that activity is perceived as a threat.
Interesting. When I was a child, and I've said this many times, I don't have any experiences when I was a child. Everything happened to me as an adult. But there was one crazy thing that and I've mentioned this before. It was only on Sundays. Now, go with me on this. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Only on Sunday mornings, and I was the age of 5, 6, 7, and maybe topping out at around the age of 8. So for about 3 years, on Sunday mornings, if there was, and you remember what it was like in the 60s and 70s, Sunday mornings was all religious TV, right? We didn't have Saturday morning cartoons. We had Sunday morning religious stuff, and so that would be on in the background. Parents in bed, me and my brothers and sisters eating cereal and terrorizing the house at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. But if there was a religious program on, or at least that's what I related it to in my mind, my body would go vzz, right? And I would have this thing that happened, not a seizure, but it was electrical from the top of my head down to my toes, and it was a physical feeling, and it would only be on Sundays during a religious show. So I would not, when it happened, I would leave the room. I would not be around the TV. I could not do religious programs on Sunday morning, or I would get shocked. I'm not making it up. I'm not. And then it just stopped. It never happened again. But it got to the point where, when you get electrocuted, right? You know what it's like. So you don't stick your finger in the light socket anymore, right?
Exactly.
It was the same thing for me. I would not, Sunday mornings, no religious TV for me. There.
It sounds like a hypnotic suggestion or anchor of a thought to create that reaction.
Yeah, don't send money is what it was.
I mean, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, very interesting that you would have that physical electrical shock, which was basically, don't listen to the Swaggart Report or whichever one was on at the time.
It's exactly right, man. And it really, really did happen. And it was only on Sunday mornings. So now let's move forward past 6 years old. What happened next? What was your next experience?
Well, I had some when I was about 12, but they were harder to identify. And I think that's because perhaps they were being able to either, block my memory or begin to create sort of a screen memory. But it was in my 20s when I started having some unusual experiences. And what I wasn't sure if I was having vivid dreams or lucid nightmares, but I did find myself in the presence of multiple types of beings, some short grays, a tall gray. And I felt like, I don't know where I was. All I know was that there were partitions made of glass in rooms that you could see through, and there were different levels of basically babies. It had a nursery sort of a feel to it. And I remember coming out into the hallway to say something to the tall gray, and walking towards us was a blue. And the blue extraterrestrials look very awkward. And they don't walk with any fluidity, and they certainly don't have any grace. And it wasn't very attractive. And my first reaction was, oh, it's so ugly, this poor little kid. I'm just going to pick it up and give it a hug, right? So I did. I picked it up and dropped it on my hip. And the second I looked into its face, it was like somebody had hit me in the head, because it was angry, insulted, and it wasn't a kid. And it was a much older entity. And I gently began to put it down, and I could feel the blue and the gray communicating beyond me, like as if they can block me. Sometimes I could understand them, and sometimes it was just like they could shut off a switch and I couldn't understand or hear what they were saying. But I know that it was angry because I didn't need to hear that. I could feel it and see it. So I guess anger is interesting because I hadn't associated many emotions with extraterrestrials. And so I found that it should be interesting. Later, through research and running the experiencers groups, there have been multiple people who have had experiences with the blue and the blues, and they describe them very much like I do, awkward, some gnome-like dwarf, 7 dwarfs, where they're just, the limbs aren't in proportion and the body's more square. So it was very strange, and just a few years after that, I had really changed my perspective. I'd been doing some ufology. I'd been setting up some cameras around the outskirts of Sacramento. I was trying to film some anomalous activities. I'd been seeing UFOs. I wasn't alone. Got some pretty good ones on a tape and was bringing it to the old TV show Sightings in Los Angeles, and had experienced some missing time at Pyramid Lake. And that would have been in the early 90s now. So it's kind of been a continuous thing, but there was a drastic change where I no longer, I think I became empowered at a certain point and understood that I was being manipulated and started to change my reactions. And then one night I did have an encounter with 2 grays in my room, and
this was in Sacramento too.
This is in Sacramento, and the same violet sort of entities were to the one side of me, and I heard them say 2 words, and they said focus and control. First they said Lori, got my attention. Then they said focus and control, and I did. I focused my mind because I was in some state of almost asleep, not quite dreamlike, but I was aware that they were in the room. And when they told me to focus and control, I became wide awake, completely alert, and was eye to eye, face to face with 2 extraterrestrials of the gray lineage. And they were not friendly to me. That is my perception. And I still was very cool. And
well, were you trying to be friendly? You're saying...
No, I was neutral. I was 100% neutral. I was now wide awake. What I was experiencing prior to that was pain. I was trying to tell them to stop hurting me.
Where was the pain, Laura?
On my lower left abdomen.
Okay.
And then when I became too lucid and they realized I was lucid, a white flash happened in the room and a taller gray appeared, and it had in its hand what looked like the size of, I'm going to say a chopstick because that's what I thought it was for like just a second. That was the size.
Lori, you have to stop moving the microphone.
Oh, I think it's my hair touching it.
Yeah,
sorry about that, Jimmy.
It's really loud. When you hear this later, you're going to go, oh, man.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Ponytail next time.
Yeah, okay. You got it. Deal.
Oh.
Okay, so chopstick. Was
it
metal?
I realized at this point they could care less that I felt that I was being hurt. And it took a step towards me, and that's when I lost all focus, all control, and totally lost my cool and became completely frightened and acted out, screamed, kicked, fought basically for my life. And I remember kicking and screaming is the last thing I remember. And then I lost consciousness. I didn't fade to black. I whited out. Because it was white. It felt like everything was white in my mind, dripping, and I whited out.
Wow.
And at that point, when I came to or woke back up in my bedroom, I was in severe pain. And I had a hernia and did require surgery and do have a mesh plate in there holding that because I kicked so hard, I tore a stomach muscle.
Did you, because there were multiple entities, could you tell if any were male or female?
Absolutely not. Couldn't tell with those ones at all, But the other ones, I do sense that they feel feminine.
Right.
And they feel very loving. That was the last experience I'd ever had with those particular entities. And really from that moment on, my whole experience was altered and changed. I had become empowered. I was lucid. I totally accepted the phenomena. I was no longer running around looking for proof or evidence. I didn't need it anymore. I had experienced it. I accepted it. I was owning it. And at that point, it was, what do you do with it?
Now, a couple of quick questions before we head to the break. The tall gray, clothes, uniform, naked, what was he?
Honest to God, it felt like he had a lab coat on.
Ooh, okay, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you count digits? Did you have the...
Well, that was one of the things that really freaked me out. Like, I was trying to be very cool, but it was actually the hands on the smaller ones that weren't enough digits, and they were misshapen and almost like claw-like to me, like a lobster claw, because it seemed lopsided, and like I could draw how I saw one. It was as if the index finger and the thumb were fused, and it was an awkward shape, and it freaked me out. Don't want to see that again.
What about smells?
I don't have personal memory of the smells. My mother did.
Teeth?
No teeth that I saw.
And now let's go to the faces. Let's go with the tall grays first.
Mm-hmm.
Things, were they typical or were they atypical historically?
Well, quite typical, especially for the time. And the difference, of course, is the lab coat.
Right.
And I don't know if that was kind of them trying to, like I said, I believe that they slip in between the alpha and the theta brainwave, simulating our dream state, making us become compliant. And this is what creates the confusion in people. So we have to be able to snap out of that brainwave or frequency into the more lucid beta wave to have conscious understanding and recollection of the experience. And so, it's being able to move from one state of consciousness to the next. But my experience with them, whatever they are, I feel they are agenda oriented.
Well, that sounds like good advice, but can you practice that advice, and do you practice that advice?
Well, I have been a meditator for 35 years. I do guided meditations, I teach meditation, and I understand that it is the best way to increase the gamma brainwave, which allows us to move into the superconscious mind for a greater understanding. And meditation is the best way to get into that state. So meditation to me is extremely important, and although I've done it for such a long time, it wasn't, again, until that experience in the 90s when I was looking for help, and I did get some instruction from some Vietnamese Buddhist monks at a temple here in Sacramento, and they were able to help me.
Did you tell them why you were consulting?
Yes, I was completely honest.
We got to take.
Weren't surprised in the least bit. I've learned more about extraterrestrials and other worlds from Buddhist monks than I've learned from any experiencer group, research, or book that I've read. These are people who have spent thousands of years developing the mind. They spend a great amount of time in meditation, and they understand dimensions, and they understand that our consciousness, as it moves from one brainwave to the next, allows us. My personal belief is that...
Well, let's jump in right there. I got to take a hard network break. Lori, so we'll finish that on the backside. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Lori McDonald. We'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you know what's in your body soap? Well, I didn't know the answer until about 5 years ago when I looked at the label of my soap and was shocked to see all the chemicals. For my entire life, I had been assaulting the largest organ of my body, my skin, and to think my children were using it too. Well, a lot has changed since then. Today, my family and I operate Stone City Farms, where we make and sell all natural goat milk soap using fresh goat milk from goats we raise on our farm. Our mission at Stone City Farm is to produce high-quality, all-natural goat milk soap for people who want a fresh, unrefined, natural product. At Stone City Farms, we offer scented and unscented soaps and a signature line of gift sets customizable to your needs. To see what our customers are saying, go to StoneCityFarm.com. Use the code NATURAL for a 20% discount. That's StoneCityFarm.com, code NATURAL for 20% off your order. You never know what could be hiding in your soap.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your so humble host, Jimmy Church. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA, the planets. Want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, Lisa Garr is here. And then Wednesday night, Melinda Leslie. And then Thursday night, Giorgio Tsoukalos will be with us. Very special presentation on Thursday nights. As you know, Thursday nights is our open lines night. But we're going to do this just for you, and this is an exclusive for our Fade to Black audience. Now, Lori, the knowledge, and it was interesting for you to say, now I get it. Don't question me. Don't play with me. Now I know what's going on, right?
Right.
Okay, but what do you do with this knowledge?
Exactly. What you do with it is you begin to understand that first off, you have to go through a healing. You have to heal and recalibrate the senses of both the mind and the body. We've experienced something outside of our belief system, and we need to adjust. We need to begin to heal and recalibrate. This is the beginning of the growth and expansion of the mind. So expect growth. Understand that this is a human experience rather than an extraterrestrial experience, because it has effects on our consciousness. It's our right at this point to take it and use it in the pursuit of a spiritual truth that as we look at the phenomena, it shouldn't matter if they were gray or blue or mantis or a reptoid. What should matter is they exist. And once we get that, we can grow further.
And now you also have the new ability to, when somebody comes up to you and go, dude, aliens aren't real, and you now have the ability to roll your eyes and go, come on. Right?
That's right. Absolutely. And I don't think people should require disclosure per se through a government entity, because when we have that type of disclosure or contact en masse, we risk a governmental control factor where any of the information is then filtered through in doses that they feel are appropriate for the masses. So I think that's really one of the reasons there are so many individual experiences, that when each person is touched individually, it can be used as a catalyst to their own personal growth so that they can begin their self-development, self-discovery, hopefully self-mastery, moving into self-actualization, understanding how we are to behave in the world, and understanding that once we get that human aspect of it, we then begin to experience the consciousness expansion. And to me, that has been the most life-changing, mind-blowing experience I'm most grateful for. I would go through all of the experiences, the bad, again, knowing that all roads do lead to consciousness if we take the experience and begin to move it to the next step instead of wasting our time like a dog chasing its tail going, well, what does it mean? What does it mean? Well, what it means is that there are alternate realities. What it means is that we have the opportunity to assimilate that into our understanding, into our knowledge, and therefore move into a larger consciousness. We have rights as humans, and until we speak them clearly, cosmically, or say, no, we're not going to accept any type of interference, they will continue to do that, because based on contractual law, if we don't specifically say no, then we are complying. And so on that hand, we're giving them permission through not saying no. So we must be really careful and see that they're intelligent. And we have to understand that it's not about them. It doesn't matter what their ship looks like. It matters that they're here. And although they could be considered a threat, since we see that the NSA is involved in particular information, if it's a national security threat, a threat's a threat. And so we don't understand the full levels, but we do need to become personally empowered to reaching our full human potential, moving upwards that way.
Was your experience or experiences positive?
In the end, absolutely positive, because the ones that apparently had been with me my entire life, the very beautiful violet colored ones, I still don't know where they're from, eventually told me that I had passed. I could both hear them and see them. They were partially manifested, and they told me that, and I assumed that I had died, frankly, and it wasn't the case. They had told me I had passed again and asked me if I was afraid, and I told them I was not afraid, and in fact I had been waiting for them really all of my life for this type of understanding. And they asked me if I wanted to see, and when I did agree, at that point, I saw that my consciousness both resided inside and outside of my body, that I could, in fact, transcend both time and space, that the consciousness was still me. It maintained my individuality, my personality. I was still Lori, but I was outside of my body. And as we moved through the spheres of space, there was an eventual breaking through where I got it. I saw that it was like light years between my eyes, and further in the distance, I saw a golden planet, and I felt the energy there. And by thinking of it, I moved to it instantly, and I understood that it was a possibility of what we could be if we could understand that we have to have, self-acceptance so that we can love ourselves, so that we never have to feel inferior or superior to other humans or other non-humans. That in fact, when we're empowered in this way, we're a divine, magnificent creator. And through the ability to manifest with our mind, we have to take responsibility with our thoughts. So we're at a learning time. We're in the third dimension right now, and time is slow on purpose, gives us the opportunity to see where we've made mistakes, and we can self-correct. We can self-correct. We can see where we've harmed others and begin to feel safe and secure enough that we can help others. This will allow us that larger understanding into the fourth and fifth consciousness or dimension. Scientists tell us that the third dimension, as we know it, is slipping away, that in fact we're moving into the lower fourth dimension, and that's short-lived. And that's where we have to have the mastery of our thoughts, because what we think as we move higher becomes real. And luckily, time is slow right now, so we can understand our thoughts and balance our emotions, which is energy in motion. We have to balance our energetic emotion so that we have that self-mastery. That's what it's going to take, because the manifestation should only be positive. Right now, not sure everybody can handle that. They think things without being able to control the emotional impact, and people could be hurt.
What do you do, and how do you answer the other researchers out there that will say that this is not a benevolent situation, that what you are experiencing is a lie, and that they are up to no good, and they're controlling the government, and they're controlling the Illuminati and the cabal and the New World Order?
Well, they're probably right. And the abductors are totally self-serving and totally agenda-oriented. But Jimmy, they have a lower vibrational frequency than us. We should easily be able to become empowered and deal with them. It's not that complicated.
Right.
They have a lower frequency. So the idea is to simply not engage and give them our power, to not be tricked. Listen, they're intelligent, okay? But they don't understand the human spirit, and they have continuously underestimated us. Good. Because it's given us the opportunity to understand what we are. We are that human. Hue for light, and man is short for manifestation, to come into the physical or to be embodied. We use hue still for density or intensity of light saturation. A human is a light embodied being. We're just third dimensionally manifested right now for the experience, and it's slow, very slow, but we're not living that long, only 85, 100 years, and we need to really learn as much as we can through the heart energy, because cosmically speaking, the interconnectedness comes from that. But so it comes down to this. There's a fight for our soul. There's good and they're bad. What are we going to do? We're going to become empowered, and we're going to self-correct and do what is necessary.
You want to take
That's my hope.
You want to take some calls?
Sure.
Okay. The phone lines are lighting up, and I was going to do it at the top of the hour, but let's grab this first one. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to Lori about our kinship, the experiences that I've had that mirror hers.
Okay, well, do me a favor and turn me down in the background, and then I'll let you speak to Lori. How's that?
Okay, this is not live?
Yes, we are live right now. You are on the radio.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Say hi to Lori. Who's calling? What's your name?
My name is Colleen. I live in Rockland, which is a bedroom community of Sacramento. I'm from the Bay Area, and I had childhood experiences much like yours, Lori. Missing time. I was very meaning that I knew a lot of things that I shouldn't have known very early on. And one of the things that happened to me that was lost time and also implanted screen memory was I took money this is what I remember, is that I took $5 out of my mother's wallet and went to Valley Fair, which is there in San Jose. I'm dating myself, but I was born in 52. There was no freeway there. It was just, you could walk across the street or down the street and then into the parking lot of Valley Fair. And at that time, Macy's was one level in the back. My memory is that I took that $5 and went on all kinds of rides in the parking lot, that they were having like a carnival they did that every now and then, had rides. But then the last memory of that I have is that I went up on the roof with a couple of men. And here I was probably 4.5 years old, 5 years old max. And I recounted that to my mom. She said that could never have happened. You could never have left the house, blah, 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 blah. So that's always been strange to me. But miscarriages, my mother had 3 out of 8, 5 viable pregnancies. I had my first pregnancy was a miscarriage, and my daughter-in-law and sons, theirs was a miscarriage of identical twins in one egg, which is really rare.
Wow.
But all my life, I've had paranormal things. I've left my body, astrally projected, not wanting to. I've been visited by all kinds of strange beings and creatures, the Hat Man. I finally went, believe it or not, we had an exorcist from San Diego come up here to Roseville, and he offered a weekend of free to come in and be exorcised. I had the latest thing, I had stopped having those, what is that when you wake up and your body's still frozen?
The hypnagogic state is when the brain secretes the awake and the sleep chemical at the same time. So the body is paralyzed and the mind is awake.
I would always fight those, and I would hear this buzzing tone, and I'd always fight those because I knew that I would lose something. I would lose consciousness.
Right.
It was not a good thing. And but anyhow, one night I moved up here to Rockland from the Bay Area in 2002, and I didn't have those experiences anymore because, number one, I pray a lot and always ask for Jesus and St. Michael the Archangel to protect me. I'm a non-practicing Catholic, and I believe very strongly in Jesus and God. I don't believe in the Catholic Church anymore, is for sure. But I was so desperate after I had this experience, woke up in the middle of the night I had a very lucid dream where some entity was injecting me with Novocaine for dental surgery. And my mouth was numb. I couldn't talk. My tongue was numb. And this entity began to swing me around my bedroom with my sheet around my neck, very strong. And now I know why it gave me Novocaine. So I couldn't say the name of Jesus. Help, Jesus, in the name of Jesus, for Christ. I woke up, never had that happen again. But I went to see an exorcist anyway.
Well, our research does indicate that calling out the name of Jesus can prevent or can circumvent a abduction experience. I have not had that personal experience, but research does indicate that that is one of the things that has been helpful. That's just a statistic.
Yeah, and that, that's what I would have done whether it was a known thing or not. It was just the way I was raised, and I believe my belief in Jesus Christ as an ascended master was so strong that I knew that the good would outweigh the dark. The one thing I want to mention, and I'll go so others can call in. My son has been very psychic like me all his life. I mean, I can't even tell him a fib or I get in huge trouble. He knows I can't lie. So one of my granddaughters by them, she's now 6. When she was 2, she started to tell me that, Grandma, I love you so much, because we were very much connected at the heart and very close, even though I live here in California and she's back in Boston. But she used to tell me, she always had trouble sleeping when I go back to visit. It was like they were wrestling a bear to get her to stay in bed. But I knew she was afraid. And one day she told me, and this is a little 2-plus-year-old, Grandma, I don't like that statue in my bedroom. And oh my God, I thought, me being so in touch with all of that kind of stuff, the seen and the unseen. And so I started to pray a lot and command whatever was there to get out. And I'd visit her and surround her in white light and ask Jesus and St. Michael the Archangel to surround her with protection. Nothing much happening for a while until she was moved into a different bedroom when her new baby sister was born in December. And then this was on the phone from Boston. She would we would do the FaceTime, where you can talk to each other, see each other. And she'd tell me that there were ghosts upstairs. She was afraid to go upstairs. Huh?
I said, oh, man.
Yeah, and I said, Adele, I wanted to talk to her about it, and I wanted to tell that I brought out a guardian angel Yadro figurine that had been given to me for Michael when he was born. So I brought that out, and I'd hoped they'd put it in her room, but they didn't. They put it in their room, Michael and Marie. So she's telling, and I wanted to talk to her about it. You can't squish it down and make it you make it a more fearful thing if you make it off limits to talk about.
Well, and you don't want to be the crazy grandma either.
Oh yeah, so I've been really torn.
Right.
And I've even thought about calling and just asking to talk to her.
Not a bad
idea. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. But
well, this is what I want you to do, because we're going to be running out of time. You can contact Lori through her website, and you guys are actually neighbors up there.
Right.
I'm going to join the group.
Yeah, you should. And
absolutely, Colleen. Join the group and allow us to offer support and insight.
Oh, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah,
Yep.
Thank you for the call, Colleen. Absolutely.
Oh, you're
fascinating.
welcome. And thank you for letting me talk for so long. I really appreciate it.
Hey, I was listening. Okay. Thank you, Colleen.
Oh, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Lori, that's the one thing. I'm a dad, right? I'm a parent.
Right.
And what is it about children and the paranormal? It can be ET, it can be ghosts, and what is that? Is it they're vulnerable or they're open-minded? Is it a combination of the both?
I think that they're born open. That babies are born with the crown chakra soft, or the soft spot. You have to be very careful with that with a new baby. I think that at that point they're bringing in other energies and they're more susceptible to it, in that it's a learned behavior, in fact, that prevents them from continuing that growth. The human brain or the human body has far more than 5 or 6 senses. neuroscientists and neurosurgeons are saying that should we have up to 21 senses, and 9 for sure that we're using, and they speculate up to 21. And we keep cutting them off and just interpreting our world through 5 or 6 senses, and we're not getting the whole picture. And I'm assuming that certain families are born a little bit more open and stay that way. And of course, research also indicates that abductees and experiencers are 64% more likely to develop further psychism and are generally already intuitive to begin with. So we see that this is a commonality among them. Now, these are just statistics. We can only gather them and put them together and look at them. We're not sure what that means, other than the fact that it looks like this behavior can increase our psychic development. And again, because I'm a parent and I hear a story like that, I freak out. Sure. I really, really do. I mean, kids are vulnerable, and I hear that. And also, when I hear the recordings of contact of either entities that are children and child voices, and I hear those, I think we're all affected like that, probably more than if it was an adult's voice that was being captured. Yeah, it's probably not a child's voice. It's probably a deliberate thing. Generally on an EVP, if it's a child voice, it's usually a demon. If we're open to the fact that angels exist, we have to also be open to the fact that there is demons as well, and that they are just another race of beings that are, again, from the lower energy form. So, yeah, I'm very careful when we get to things that prey on our particular human emotions, such as the vulnerability of our children. And so, yeah, with EVPs and other type of paranormal research, I'm highly suspect. Children generally don't become discarnate entities or ghosts. There's a protocol, and generally we see ghosts or discarnate entities had very heavy attachments to the earth. Maybe they were through alcohol or drug addiction, or maybe they just really didn't want to leave their house. Whatever it is, they're extremely attached. So they're going to stay in that vicinity because that's what they're familiar with, or they're going to attach themselves to somebody who shared their vice so that they can live vicariously through them on a certain level. So, yeah, ghosts and the whole paranormal investigation, again, this is a whole subject. Yes, it is. We have to really be careful where we dive into. Now, I wanted to ask you really quick with your enlightenment, and I loved it when you said past, right? You have passed. Any indication about how long they have been here, and also have they messed with our DNA? Well, some have tried to manipulate our DNA, but our DNA is very easily manipulated. It's manipulated through frequency, which could be manipulated through sound, because sound is a frequency. Therefore, words have power, and words can change your DNA. So that doesn't make them all that magical to me. It's simply technology. So big deal. They're more advanced. I'm not that easily impressed. So what they lack is the emotional balance to be an altruistic being that can cohabitate on some type of unity, cosmic consciousness. That's the issue with them. And they do have issues, but they live longer than we do. They live up to 1,000 years old. My personal belief is that they don't have a soul or consciousness the way we have for the ability to continuously grow and transcend. I think on some level, they are a thin photocopy of what they once were and are trying desperately. That makes me have some compassion for them, but I wouldn't want to deal with them the way they come to the table now. We have to level the playing ground and make sure that they understand our rights before we allow any further manipulation to us on any level, whether it's genetic or psychological. Wow. You have passed. Thank you. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Laurie McDonald. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Laurie when we come back. We're going to take your phone calls, 323-825-5045. Have you had contact? Are you an experiencer? Do you have questions? Do it now. I'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If your home has hard water and it's leaving white spots, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes. Limescale can cost hundreds of dollars a year in wasted energy and early appliance breakdown. HydroCare systems available at Wave Home Solutions prevent and remove limescale with just a simple filter change every 3 years. There are no salts, chemicals, or magnetic coils. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, just go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie McDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Laurie McDonald. Open lines, 323-825-5045. Any questions for Laurie? Have you had an experience? Do you have any questions? Have you seen something? Maybe you don't know. Right now, 323-825-5045. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hi, Jimmy. This is Mark from Oregon.
Hey, Mark.
I wanted to ask Laurie if, in the course of hypnotherapy sessions, if she's come across alien abduction experiences that were tied to precognition.
Oh, wow. That's a very interesting question. Yes. In fact, people get what I refer to as glimpses. In fact, I've had experiencers through regression say that they think they knew they were going to meet me or saw me during one of their experiences and felt that the extraterrestrials led them to me to help them.
Oh, shut up. That's crazy.
Oh, no,
Very
Jimmy, all the time. Right. All the time.
So what does that say? What does that say about fate versus destiny? I mean, it's one of the age-old questions.
Or time travel, for that matter.
Well, yeah, that's very interesting. Now, let's go back to fate. versus destiny here for just a second, because what we're looking at is what Carl Jung said. I prefer his psychology over Freud, hands down, any day of the week, because he seemed to be a little bit more coherent. But I believe Freud or Jung said something to the fact that when we continuously have things manifest in our conscious world that are coming from our subconscious, it is fate. So there is a difference between fate and destiny. It's important. I think the exact quote was something like, when an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside as fate. Fate can be it could be interpreted in this sense as synchronicities, where things begin to line up. And so the subconscious mind is urging the conscious mind to look deeper, to recognize the situation so that we can come full circle into understanding and moving on from it.
Right. Mark, you had a second part of your question.
Answer.
What was it?
Oh, that was it. That's an excellent answer. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
You're quite welcome. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. And what about the time travel aspect of it? I mean, somebody's getting a vision.
Well, time, we can measure time linearly, but time is relevant to where you're standing. And there is time moving slowly in different dimensions. And so because I believe the consciousness can move inside and outside, time means nothing. So why not go ahead just a wee bit through projection and find out what's just around the corner? I personally prefer a bit of a heads up.
You mentioned this earlier, and we kind of danced past it because, it was a dynamic conversation. But I want to jump back really quickly on different locations and cultures and geographic areas and what experiencers are experiencing. And
sure.
And let's can you expand on that a little bit? Are they similar?
Well, for instance, say you're in Australia, you're most likely going to interpret your extraterrestrial as either being a Nordic or what we would consider a Pleiadian. If you're, say, in Brazil, it would be some type of a non-human. Brazilians also see some that appear to be what we would call descendants of the Anunnaki, Naga, or descendants of even the Naga, where they can appear half the descendants of the Naga come under the water, and so they are aquatic extraterrestrials. And so they look amphibious, not to be confused with the reptilian. But tall humanoids, that would be considered like a New Zealand area, and North America and parts of Mexico, we're more apt to see the grays. But as time continues to progress, what most people report now, as opposed to, say, the tall blonde Nordic or whatever, are more of the energetic beings, which is kind of what I had seen predominantly throughout my experiences. They were always there in the background, but always loving. And don't get me wrong, I didn't always know what they were. I'm still don't have definitive answers. These are just speculation based on research. We're doing the best we can to figure things out, to move all of us along, hopefully, into a better and bigger understanding. But I spent probably 2 years wondering if my experiences were with angels or aliens. And then I didn't know if there was a difference. And then I started putting together, creating kind of a hierarchy of extraterrestrials, starting with subterranean and then terrestrial, extraterrestrial, celestial beings, and could see that they all exist within a certain bandwidth or frequency from Earth, say, out through the Milky Way, maybe a little bit to the left of the big Virgo cluster into the deeper spaces of the deeper arm of space there, in that vastness, that we have many galaxies, the Andromeda. So we do see that some people think extraterrestrials come from there. But now, more scientifically speaking, we see that scientists are saying that we have the red dwarf star systems that circulate each star that we see when we're looking up at the sky, and that they move at a lower, longer band wave. So they're outside of our vision. So that would either ultraviolet or whatever band they happen to be in. They're outside of our vision, and they're most likely to be populated with entities that look more human. So science is kind of catching up with the fact that we're experiencing other entities, and we're even seeing evidence now that there is life out there.
And I wanted to ask a little bit more directly, really quick, why tall Nordics in Australia versus Anunnaki type in Brazil? I mean, why would there be a geographic line in the sand, if you will?
Well, I think, and again, I can only speculate, Jimmy, but I think that people have an ancestral blood memory and that within our own genetic makeup, we carry memory of lore or myth and stories, and that it just is underneath the conscious and in that pot that we can draw from. And so those were the stories, and it makes sense really when we kind of look at when the stories are being reported, what's happening in their cultures. But there's many types of extraterrestrials, the grays and reptoids and mantis. What I find interesting about all of those physical descriptions is they all resemble something from the biology of Earth. The grays look like our ants. The mantis look like our praying mantis. And as we move through their genetic code, and not to mention the humanoid form of torso and so forth, there's a resemblance of our own biology. That's interesting to me.
Yeah. Can you, hello, caller, but can you turn me down in the background?
Hello?
Yes, you're live. Turn me down in the background.
I did. I just turned it off.
Oh, say hi to Lori. Who's calling?
Diana. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, Diana.
Hi. I have an experience that I had, but I'm an experiencer, but I don't know if it was how it was, if it's related to aliens or anything. But about a couple years ago, I was in my room in the semi-dark, just sort of contemplating my day, and at an angle. Coming at an angle were these orbs coming towards me. Some were like going into the walls and some were dissipating into the air. They were round, circular with a nucleus with light radiating from them. And at first I was thinking, okay, maybe this has to do with outside where I live, there's a makeshift grave with Hawaiian bones. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe not. But then I motioned one with my finger because I wanted it to come closer so I could get a closer look. That's how I saw the nucleus, because I could see it up close. And it actually had a face. And I knew nothing about orbs before this. It wasn't like I researched orbs. I didn't know orbs had faces. I didn't know anything about orbs. The only thing I knew about orbs was people say they see them in photos. So to me, this was like totally like wild. So, and one in the orb that looked at me, it had a, I could see eyes, nose, mouth, and it was sort of mischievous look, and it was sort of like a Joker kind of look. So this is the part that was really crazy. So now the next day,
well, Diana, let me jump in. I just have to ask really quick. Was this at night or during the day?
It was at night. It was in semi-darkness. So it was about maybe 8:39ish. I was sort of just lying down in my bed, just like looking up, just like thinking, just not. My mind was just totally blank, and I saw it seriously. It's like I was blown away because I never in my life could imagine seeing this in a million years. So then this is the part that's weird though. And so that I rarely go to doctors, right, for physical problems and stuff because I just don't go. And so I had an appointment the next day to go to this physical doctor for. I never met this doctor, and I was going there because I had gotten in a slight accident, nothing serious, but I just wanted to check it out. So I went down to the doctor, and when I looked at her right away, I don't know why, there's something about her. Says, "You look like you're into metaphysics. You look something about you." Is spiritual and psychic. She goes, "Oh yeah, I'm very much so." And I said to her, "Oh, then can I tell you the story? Because I can't believe it happened to me. So I started telling her the story, and she stopped me while I was talking. She goes, you saw the trickster. I said, the who? She goes, you saw the trickster orb. And I said, a trickster orb. And then she went on, like you were talking about, just that's what brought it up. I heard you say I don't really follow the Ananka. You were talking about that. She was talking something about all that. And I'm like, I don't know, but have you seen it? And she goes, yeah, I've actually seen the trickster orb with the smiling face. It's a little mischievous. He looked at me like, I can't explain it. Like, it was just hard to, it was mischievous. Like he liked me, but he was a joker. He looked like a joker is what I'm saying. That was the look he gave me. So I was thinking now, is this alien related, or is this just from the makeshift grave outside, or is this just, I have no idea where this came out of, like what it means. I have no clue.
Well, alien just simply means foreign, not from here. And the fact that the orbs had a face, that's interesting. I would like to know, you said they emitted a light. Was it a specific color?
Yeah, they were different colors for orbs, right? Mm-hmm. They were all about the same size, though. They were small, and the light was like, how do I explain it? It looked like, when you see pictures of the sun, it's like it was shining, coming. It was like it needed it to fuel to come. It was like the energy needed to emit to manifest to me, so I could see it. So I could see that. Some went right into the wall. Someone just dissipate into the air. But they all eventually went. But what was interesting was they were coming at an angle, and I don't know what that means. They were coming all at the corner of the wall. And it's definitely not dust. I mean, because I saw it with my own eyes. I was like in awe. Like, I just so much wanted, I wasn't afraid of it. So, and at first I thought I got the feeling, the sense I was getting, I don't know why, that they were like children orbs. Because the reason I say that, because they hesitantly, well, not the jokester one, but the other ones that were puffing into the air and just going into the wall, they were hesitant about me. They weren't coming close enough. That's why I called them over. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right. There are lots of different hypotheses as what exactly the orbs are. And we know more when we know what color they are and if they're dense. Now, these smaller ones that seem to have the faces in them, not sure about this trickster, but I would be cautious with anything paranormal. They could be interdimensional. They could be a discarnate entity. But if you felt like it was not negative, then it probably wasn't. If you felt that, what I'm trying to say is trust your own instincts in these situations. Trust your instincts on how they feel and choose what you want to engage with, what type of energy you want to engage with, and try to go beyond just being curious. Curious isn't enough, because it seems to me that when we open ourselves to particular energy, we stay open to that. And until we're educated enough to be able to sense or block particular energies, we can be pestered.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Diana.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Diana, amazing phone call. And thank you so much for this.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you, Diana. I have heard, and I know that you've heard the same thing. I would love to hear you expand on this. I have heard over the years more and more conversations about entities being inside of orbs or spheres. And I've heard different descriptions of it that are similar, a little different, but also I think everybody's starting to see something that is consistent. And one of them, this is years ago, I had a caller that called into the show, and it was a conversation I've never forgotten. And I've had a few similar since. But that he saw when he was in the military, I believe he was a police officer, saw an orb traveling down the street with a being on the inside of it controlling it, like with levers, right? And had like had a steering wheel and a dashboard kind of thing. And then a couple of years ago, I had somebody else that called in and wrote me very detailed stuff about him going out in his front yard, and right down the street, rolling down the street, is this orb rolling, making noise, with a being on the inside of it, controlling it, and was like driving it. And just like she is, Diana was just reflecting with us now, that there was, an entity inside of this orb that she could see. What do you think about that? And are you starting to hear more and more?
Orbs are everywhere. We hear about it all the time. I myself took a picture of about an 18-inch in diameter solid gold orb, and it's in my Facebook photos, and it's quite interesting. But when I was out doing field research, I came across orange orbs about the size, I want to say a basketball, and about to the height of a telephone pole, and they followed my car. And I felt that they were, I would stop and get out with the camera, film them. They would sometimes, I would say they felt like they were playing, a game of cat and mouse, right? And so maybe that's where they get the trickster thing. Mm-hmm. But I have also heard other people, I have seen them coming right down through fields. I've seen them on the roads. I've not only filmed them, but I got the one solid one, a picture on my page. I've been told that some of the orange orbs do consciousness monitoring, and that they're, in fact, AI, artificial intelligence. And we have that capability, but they wouldn't be orange. They would be more of a smaller softball size white ball of light, traveling in 2s or 3s. And that would be our AI. And so you can see that in certain areas. And
what about blue?
Orbs?
Yes.
See, blue orbs and silver orbs, I've always felt had like a friendly, interesting. I've seen daytime ones, 8 or 9 or 12 of them in a cluster in the daytime sky with a witness. And I've seen different orbs myself. We don't know definitively what they are. Some may be extraterrestrial, but it does. Your caller who told you about having seeing one literally driving it like a steering wheel, that's quite amazing, because orbs have often been referred to as a Merkaba, the vehicle of ascension, or the in ancient Socratic Jews said that it translated to time-space vehicle.
Right.
So we've seen, different definitions, and Merkaba sounds like what your guy saw, where they move from the physical body into the light body and travel anywhere they want interdimensionally. So if you can move your consciousness out of the physical body and into a light body vehicle, then you would be able to go drive wherever you want. Why one would come and drive down a street in middle America, I'm not quite sure.
Right. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello?
Yes, you're live right now.
Hi. Wow. Hi, I tuned in about a half hour ago. It's kind of serendipitous that I'm listening tonight, because I've been really busy. And over the weekend, I was listening to something from Project Camelot. This lady was describing elementals and things, and I fell asleep. And at the very end of the recording, it was like after she stopped talking, I thought it was part of the recording because I was half asleep, and it was actually this voice, as if it was saying my name from a past life or something.
Wow. And
it kept saying it. It was like a man's voice, and he would just say the name and then kind of exacerbate a breath, out of exacerbation. I can't say the word right, but you probably know what I mean. Just out of frustration that I'm not waking up or responding. And so when I woke up, I'm like, oh my gosh, is that real? So I listened to the recording again, and there was nothing on the end of her show, anything like what I had heard. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's Carrie Cassidy getting into your head.
As a man.
Yeah, we love Carrie, and trust me, I've fallen.
About you, Jimmy.
Yeah, I've fallen asleep many a nights to Carrie Cassidy, and she is guilty of taking me to places I didn't need to go to. Trust me.
Yeah, I'm a little familiar with the elementals as far as the spirit and metaphysical world is concerned. I studied metaphysics just in course to my own self-development. And yeah, the elementals have a hierarchy too, and they're from the spirit world, and they oversee particular deities within nature. And so they're supposed to coexist with mankind, helping to keep things in balance. You would see different things falling under the categories. Things like fairies, for instance, would be considered an elemental. There are others that are non-seen that go beyond the nature part of elementals and more into, say, elements such as the wind. So there would be a wind deity. And then once again, there's always protocol and hierarchy and everything. And the wind would, look over the nature ones, and there's protocol.
Thank you for the phone call.
Oh, thank you.
And we love Carrie, by the way. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
I've got calls lined up here. Okay, I'm just going to grab. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. We got 2 minutes before the break. Say hi to Lori.
Hey, Lori.
Hi.
I'm not listening live. So thanks for taking my call. This is my first time ever calling. So Lori, who is this?
Oh, it's Lori McDonald, but this is a live show. So, I'm going to let you go, and then call back when you have a real question. Okay, hi. You're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Lori McDonald.
Hello. Hi, how are you, Jimmy?
I'm doing good. Say hi to Lori. We got 2 minutes.
Hi, how are you? I'm so sorry. This is the first time I listen to your program. This is the first time that I try to call you. So lucky, I guess.
Yes, you did.
Listen, I had an answer maybe for her. It happened to me so many times that somebody taught me how to go from one dimension into another dimension. Once that I was in a dimension, we were walking through a street, and they show me and they teach me and they answer so many questions. And one of the questions that they answered to me was that why they don't see us. And they answered me, okay, we are what sometimes you see as a light, as a ball of light, as a light. And they can see us, but we can see them. That was one of the answers that they gave me at the time.
Yeah, very interesting. What's your name?
My name is Washington from New Jersey.
Yeah, thank you, Washington. And that's an excellent phone call. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Very interesting. That was an interesting phone call, Lori.
Well, you never know. I mean, anybody and everybody who has an experience should try to share it so that we can put them all together and hear things just like what he just said.
Yep, absolutely. We're going to take a break. Lori, can I get you to hang on for about 5 or 10 minutes of overtime?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, because I've got I'm going to indulge myself and ask my own questions when we come back.
Sounds good.
And I do have questions for Lori. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I don't know if we're going to have any more time for phone calls because I'm going to go direct with Lori on a couple of questions about her own experiences compared to mythology. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay right there.
are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contest and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hard shell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight has been Lori McDonald. Riveting conversation. Tomorrow night, Lisa Garr is here. Wednesday, Melinda Leslie. Thursday night, Giorgio Tsoukalos. He will be here with his hair, I promise. Lori, you know what's funny? When that caller brought up Carrie Cassidy, I'll admit it right now, and Carrie knows this too. I've told her this many, where I'll be listening to one of her shows and I'll fall asleep, right? And I'll wake up like 4 hours later, have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the craziest dream of my life. And I'm just like, man, what just happened? You know, and yeah, absolutely, man. She's the best for that. So anyway, now I wanted to go back and ask you, when you said that you picked up, the little blue guy, right, and put him on your hip.
Yeah.
Now, that obviously is a small guy, right? Because you put him on your hip.
Yeah.
Could there be, going back through mythology and folklore, when we're taught, because you brought up fairies later on, could that be what, leprechauns and other folklore and mythology that has been handed down for millennia? Could that be, they didn't know, and so the stories get turned into what they're turned into, but could it be E.T.?
Well, that's a good question, Jimmy. They could be the elementals. We see an extraterrestrial that's described often as a gnome and blue in color, somewhat Smurf-like.
Right.
But that's probably an elemental, which is alien, but perhaps not extraterrestrial, more likely interdimensional, that they can move between this dimension and the next, or they happen to just know where every single portal is. I think that it's more likely they have the ability to morph.
Yeah, and before we write it off to imagination and creativity and storytelling, that there is probably something to it. There's a foundation.
I think that in all mythology, that it started with something that affected the consciousness of the people of the time, and that it was so important and so relevant and so outstanding that they never forgot. And so, yes, the stories came from there, but I believe that there is a grain of truth in them, and that is something they're trying to teach us and tell us. You know, ask any experiencer. You never forget. You never forget that experience. You might have a million dreams through your lifetime, but the one that involves the extraterrestrial that you think was real or so on, that stays with you, and it's outstanding once again in the mind, because it's telling us to take a look at this. The mind is saying, go deeper to understand the phenomena further. So all of it, again, are catalysts to our own personal development and consciousness expansion, no matter if it's a gnome, a fairy, because all of these, once again, they challenge our reality. And when the reality is challenged, we can either reject, go into denial, and then it'll begin to manifest in other ways.
Right.
The universe has a way of making you look at things.
You speak a lot. Let's talk about some of the events that you've got coming up here. Before we get to Contacting the Desert, what else have you got going on?
Well, that's in July. I'm doing the Goddess Retreat with Laura Eisenhower and Holly Cook up at the Shooting Star Sanctuary in Mariposa. And this is an opportunity for a women's spiritual workshop where I'll be taking people through a guided meditation, connecting heart energy, allowing them to tap into their divine feminine energy so that they can become empowered. I'm taking them from fear to freedom through personal empowerment. Laura will do her thing as well as Holly. It's going to be a wonderful weekend, and you can check out that website at divinegoddesses.com, or I'm sorry, femininegoddesses.com. After that, August, that would be the Awareness Life Expo at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Sacramento. And that's a wonderful event of multiple speakers and personalities. Again, bringing you something from metaphysics, psychism, and extraterrestrial phenomena to open and broaden your understanding of the world we live in. And in September, I will be in Berkeley at the 5D event, speaking on the consciousness connection. At the end of September, I'll be at the ECETI Ranch, and September.
Man,
I can't remember past September right now.
That's okay. Let me back up. So, No Men Allowed with you, Holly, and Laura.
No Men Allowed this time.
I want to go hang out with you guys. That's going to be.
Send Rita. We love you, Jimmy, but send Rita.
Oh, man. I mean, that sounds like a really good event.
No, it's really, we're going to be looking at how it is time for the matriarch to really step into her power in the most gracious way of equilibrium in uniting people. Perhaps we'll talk about raising soldiers as opposed to sons. We're going to be moving through the heart and into the higher mind.
Wow, that sounds really, really cool. Seriously. You, Holly, and Laura at the same place at the same time. That's right. That's a vibe. But the big news is next week we're going to be hanging out at Contacting the Desert.
I'm so excited about that. I'm happy to be one of the MCs again this year. It's an awesome job and so fun. Wonderful speakers again.
Oh, how can you sum it up, Contacting the Desert, in like one sentence? Is it possible?
I could try. You know what? What it is, it's an opportunity to meet under an amazing sky filled with stars, and then having all of the historians and researchers therapists, like-minded people, again, bringing to the people what they know. Where nobody's saying this is the definitive truth. We're just going in integrity, speaking what we believe passionately about. And it's an amazing event with workshops and vendors, and you don't want to miss it.
No, it's going to be great. And if you want to find Lori, she's the one walking around with a glow. I can't wait to hang out with you next week. It's going to be absolutely amazing. What are you getting there on Thursday?
Yeah, we have the you need to be there too for the MC meeting Thursday night.
That's where I'm going. So I will see you Thursday night, and Rita and I will be there in 4. So we'll see you next week.
Looking forward to it.
And your website is
TrueHypnotherapy.com and FeminineGoddessRetreats.com.
There you go, Lori McDonald. Thank you so much, Lori. We'll see you next week in Joshua Tree.
Thank you, Jimmy. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Lori McDonald, absolutely dynamic. What a conversation tonight. Thank you so much, Lori. And for everybody next week that will be at Contact in the Desert, you can come up and find me, and then what you're going to ask me is, so where's Lori at? And I'll point her out to you, and you can go and meet her and hang out. She is just like you think she is. She's exactly that. She's very cool. Thank you so much, Lori. Again, all of her websites and information are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Thank you for all the calls tonight, too. Just an amazing show. I need to go over a bunch of stuff, some breaking news and things that I wanted to expand on the conversation with Lori tonight, but there's some other stuff I just wanted to talk about and get these thoughts out. First off, and as crazy as this is, since last Thursday, 4 people have died on Mount Everest, including a Sherpa. Rescue efforts are ongoing right now for 2 other missing climbers. On Thursday, crew member Furba Sherpa died. On Friday, Eric Arnold, he's 36 years old, of the Netherlands, he died. He died at night while heading back after a successful summit on Everest. He made it to the top. Then on Saturday, an Australian woman, her name is Maria Stridham, 34 years old, couldn't climb any higher, altitude sickness, and then the rescue attempt to reach her via helicopter failed, and she perished. And then yesterday, Sunday, Subhash Paul, 44 years old, died at Base Camp 2 from altitude sickness. Absolutely crazy. 4 people in 4 days have died on Mount Everest, and 2 are missing right now. Oh, man. It's unbelievable. Now, check this out. Are you ready? A South African bank became a victim of a bank heist that wasn't even in South Africa. It was 10,000 miles away. After a group of criminals, listen to this, stole $13 million out of cash machines in Japan using fake South African credit cards. The thieves used around 1,600 a stack, 1,600 forged cards to withdraw the money out of 1,400 individual cash machines across Japan. Now, it took the group just over, now listen to this, 2 hours to steal the money from Standard Bank, withdrawing the maximum amount of $913, which is actually, it's 100,000 yen. In 14,000 individual transactions. They actually went up to the machines, 1,600 cards, had to put the cards into the machine, PIN number, punch in the withdrawal amount, cash gets spit out, and then they plug in another card. Now, you would think, 1,600 cards, that eventually somebody would figure this out, but they didn't. And $13 million went out free and clear. Is that the most amazing thing ever? 1,600 forged credit cards from the same bank in Japan get put into cash machines, ATMs, in a 2-hour period. $13 million is withdrawn, and they got away with it. Unbelievable. No word yet. This is what's nuts here. No word yet on how many people were involved in the crime conspiracy, by the way. Nuts, huh? Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi went on live television today to announce the start of an operation to recapture the city of Fallujah, trying to get it back from ISIS. Now, you remember the fall of Fallujah. You remember Fallujah in Desert Storm 2 or whatever it was called, and the fight for Fallujah. You remember all of that live video, the Marines. You remember that, right? Okay. Well, speaking on Iraqi State TV from the military's Joint Operations Command in Baghdad, Abadi said that Iraqi security forces would provide safe passage for civilians to leave the city during the operation. Now, they also said that if you can't leave the city, raise a white flag over your house, number one. Number two, everybody is starving to death. The city has been under siege and surrounded by Iraqi forces and closed off on the other side by ISIS. So nobody is able to leave, right? Now, apparently, 30 families were recovered since yesterday on the outside of Fallujah that are trying to escape. They're dropping flyers all over the city. They are dropping, check this out, hall passes. I'm not making this up. A hall pass. You get the pass from an airplane flying overhead. You wave the pass, you can get out of town. I'm not making this up, right? Fallujah has been under ISIS control since January of 2014. But for me, the crazy part, Fallujah is virtually a frigging suburb of Baghdad. It's just east of Baghdad. Look at Iraq on a map and look where Fallujah is. That's how far south ISIS has gotten into Iraq. And we've lost sight of this and the vision of this. Fallujah is right there. And how this has remained under ISIS control for over 2 years is beyond me. And it doesn't make any sense. But apparently, now they have I want to say this correctly. The different factions that are involved in overtaking Fallujah may not exactly be a good thing. It's not like this is the Iraqi security forces assisted by the United States and are going to go in. No, we have Iran involved. We have Hezbollah involved, different religious factions and clans. And what's going to happen after the city gets taken and who is left there, it's bizarre. But it is happening right now. Whistleblower Chelsea Manning is appealing her conviction under the Espionage Act for releasing, as everybody knows, 700,000 cables to WikiLeaks back in 2010, which earned her a 35-year sentence in a military prison. Now, papers were filed this past Wednesday with the Army Court of Criminal Appeals in Fort Belvoir. Now, they must be reviewed for classified information before they are released to the public, but Manning was sentenced to 35 years in 2013 for being found guilty of 20 charges by court-martial, including 6 under the Espionage Act of 1917 for whistleblowing on war crimes committed by the U.S. military in Iraq and Afghanistan. At the age of 22, U.S. Army intelligence analyst Manning sent documents, cables, and other digital files to WikiLeaks. She included, and I spoke about this 2 weeks ago, that haunting, crazy collateral murder video, which depicts a U.S. Apache helicopters killing civilians on the ground, including 2 Reuters cameramen and wounding 2 children. Well, it's one small step for India, but it's potentially a giant leap for cheaper space travel. You can check out the pictures right now. Go to Jimmy Church Radio. Go to our Facebook page, because this morning, the Indian Space Research Organization, otherwise known as ISRO, successfully launched its first reusable launch vehicle. It's a friggin' space shuttle, which at full size will be able to lift satellites into orbit. Scientists launched the unmanned model to a peak altitude of 65 kilometers, 40 miles, before turning it around for a controlled descent into the Bay of Bengal. The total flight lasted about 13 minutes, and it's a cool-looking craft. Go and check it out. They are doing more than we are. Well, the news is out. I posted this earlier today on my personal page, or maybe it was... I can't remember, but voters in Switzerland will decide next month whether all 8 million citizens and legal residents of Switzerland should be guaranteed a generous monthly income, something no country in the world has ever done. Now, what am I talking about? Listen to this. On June 5th, Swiss voters will weigh in on a radical proposal that would mandate the government to guarantee $2,600 a month tax-free to every adult citizen and legal resident of Switzerland. And if that's not enough, $650 to each child every single month, tax-free. The payment would be provided to everyone, regardless of work status, income level, or wealth. It is a benefit few countries can afford. But then Switzerland is among one of the world's richest nations, with a per capita income of $85,000, 40% higher than that in the United States of America. $2,600 a month. It is one of the most difficult countries to become a citizen of, by the way. And now I'm going to leave you with this. Grand Theft Auto 5 continues to... Are you a gamer? Okay. Over here, we are gamers. Okay? We are gamers. Right now, in the studio next door, Rita, our executive producer, my wife, right now, is producing the show, right? But if I stopped right now and went into her studio and caught her by surprise, she's playing a video game while listening to me do the show. I guarantee it. We are gamers. And Grand Theft Auto 5 continues to generate revenue for Take-Two Interactive nearly 3 years since its initial release. I get that. But check this out. The company revealed revenue of last year, are you ready? $377.2 million. Up over the year before of $300.1 million for its fourth quarter that ended in March 31st. Now, net income grew to $46.4 million compared with a loss of $242.8 million in the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2015. In addition to the better-than-expected earnings report, Take-Two hinted at an announcement from Rockstar Games in the near future regarding future and upcoming projects. But listen to me. Take-Two reported sales of $1.4 billion compared to $1.08 billion for fiscal year 2015. $377 million of it came from Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, why? Wasn't that the game with Slender Man? I just want to know. Did you guys know that Slender Man was in Grand Theft Auto? And have you found Slender Man in Grand Theft Auto? And if you haven't seen any of the video captures of Slender Man in Grand Theft Auto, you need to go check it out. It's some of the most creepiest stuff ever in a video game. Now, what I have seen, and you can go check this out, and what I would like you to do, and somebody's going to comment about this in just a second in Twitter, I am for sure about this, is that once you find this location, and you can go and do it, I'm not going to tell you how, but once you go find this location and you park your car, you get out of your car, and you walk into this certain, it's like a cabin in the woods. Slender Man starts like looking in the windows. And then once that happens, you can't shake the dude. You can't outrun him. He is always there. How do you resolve it? You got to go play the game. But I'm just wondering if little aspects, and there's other things about Grand Theft Auto that are pretty cool. But I'm just wondering if Slender Man is the reason for Slender Man is there, and so is Bigfoot, and that comes from Steve. Is that right? I didn't know Bigfoot was in Grand Theft Auto. That's interesting. It's one of the coolest games ever, by the way. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want to thank Lori McDonald for coming in. And listen, go to her website. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on it, contact her. If you have anything that you need to discuss, you can do that with Lori. She's very cool. Her feet are on the ground. Her eyes are wide open. Thank you for the conversation tonight. We will see her next week in Joshua Tree at Contact in the Desert. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster is Drew, the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication, KGRA, The Planet. Thank you to everyone that called in tonight. Thank you, Lori McDonald. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tomorrow night, Lisa Garr, right here on Fade to Black. Follow me on Twitter @JChurchRadio. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.